Blake Lively, from what I see, sued for damages on a company she doesn't even own. And the witness she dragged into this mess, now begging the judge to hide the evidence. The deadline to request sealing has passed, and what they're trying to hide is exactly what exposes them. If Blake Lively was hoping for a quiet resolution to her war against Wayfarer Studios, she just got the exact opposite. 2 filings hit the docket that don't just contradict Blake's narrative, they completely dismantle the foundation of her lawsuit. Usually, this is boring procedural stuff. Redacting emails, hiding phone numbers. But in this case, nothing is normal. We need to talk about the money. We need to talk about the empire she claims was destroyed. And we need to talk about Isabella Ferrer, the witness Blake weaponized, who is now frantically trying to bury the evidence. Let's start with what I'd call creative accounting. For months, we've heard the same story. Justin Baldoni's alleged smear campaign tanked Blake's businesses. Her legal team has thrown around massive numbers. Millions in lost revenue for Betty Buzz and Betty Booze. The argument is simple. I am Betty Buzz. You hurt my image. Therefore, you hurt my company. Pay me. It's a classic celebrity argument. It's also, apparently, not the full story. Betty Buzz Holdings filed a request to seal its internal documents. Buried in the footnotes is an admission that should make every lawyer in the room gasp. Plaintiff Blake Lively and her affiliates own a minority interest in Betty B. You hear that? A minority interest. She is not the sole owner. She is not the majority shareholder. She is a minority investor. And yet, she's standing in federal court demanding millions for a company she does not control. This isn't a technicality. It's a legal catastrophe called lack of standing. In corporate law, a company is a separate legal person. If someone damages Betty Buzz has to sue them, a shareholder, even a famous one, cannot walk into court and say, "My stock went down, pay me the company's lost profits directly." That's called a derivative claim, and there are strict rules. You have to prove the company refused to sue. You have to represent all shareholders. Blake isn't doing any of that. She's suing directly, treating a corporate entity like her personal piggy bank. Wayfarer has argued this for months. Blake's team called it a distraction, but now Betty Buzz's own lawyers have confirmed it. By admitting she only holds a minority interest, they handed the defense the smoking gun. If she's a minority owner, she cannot claim the company's lost profits as personal damages. It's legally impossible. It's like owning one share of Apple, watching the stock dip, and suing Tim Cook for the entire company's quarterly loss. Blake doesn't even own her minority stake directly. She owns it through an entity called LOL Hata. Yes, LOL Hata as in laugh out loud hater. We're dealing with a federal lawsuit involving tens of millions of dollars, and the corporate entity at the center of it sounds like a screen name from 2007. But the name isn't the problem. The structure is. LOL Hata owns a piece of Betty Buzz Holdings. Classic Russian nesting doll corporate structure. Rich people do this to shield themselves from liability and taxes. If Betty Buzz gets sued because a bottle explodes, Blake says, "Don't look at me. I'm just an investor in LOL Hata." But now that she wants money, she's trying to pierce her own corporate veil. She wants the protection of a minority shareholder, but the payout of a sole proprietor. They want to seal the operating agreement. They want to seal the K-1 tax documents. Why? Because those documents prove exactly how little she's entitled to. They prove the millions she claims are mathematically impossible based on her actual distribution percentage. She's trying to hide the math because the math exposes the truth. If the Betty Buzz filing is the financial nail in the coffin, the Isabella Ferrer filing is the emotional one. Isabella was cast as the young Lily Bloom. Blake took her under her wing. During the press tour, Blake paraded her around like a mini-me, wearing her clothes, mimicking her mannerisms. And when the lawsuit dropped, Blake used Isabella as a weapon. Blake's complaint alleges hostile work environment. To prove it, she cited Isabella's filming experience. Intimate scenes, uncomfortable moments, the handling of sensitive material. Blake's narrative. Look at this poor young actress. Justin Baldoni made her feel unsafe, just like he did to me. There's one problem. Isabella never complained of an issue. Isabella Ferrer's attorneys filed today asking Judge Lyman to seal her deposition testimony. They argue it contains highly sensitive, confidential testimony regarding the filming of intimate scenes and, here's a strange one, discussions of another non-party's religious affiliation. What did Isabella say about someone's religion that needs hiding? We don't know. But we do know who put Isabella in this position. It wasn't Justin Baldoni. Justin's team subpoenaed Isabella because they had receipts. We've seen text messages where she thanked him for creating a safe, supportive set. She called him a mentor. She praised his direction. Her tune only changed after Blake got involved. After the promotional tour began, Blake cited dozens of pages of Isabella's testimony in her summary judgment opposition. She's leaning heavily on Isabella to prove a pattern of behavior. So, if Isabella's testimony supports Blake's case, why does it need to be sealed? Think about it. If Isabella said under oath, "Yes, Justin was a monster, he crossed boundaries, I felt unsafe," Blake would want that plastered on a billboard in Times Square. That's winning evidence. You don't seal the smoking gun that proves your enemy is guilty. You seal testimony that makes you look like a liar. The only logical reason to fight this hard to keep Isabella's words hidden is if they contradict the narrative. Under oath, Isabella likely had to admit the so-called hostile environment was actually professional. She likely had to acknowledge those text messages praising Justin were genuine. Now she's stuck. She can't publicly side with Justin. She's terrified of Blake's industry power and the wrath of the Swiftie-adjacent fanbase. But she can't lie under oath because that's perjury. So her only option is to beg the judge. Seal it all, make it go away. Blake's legal theory rests on the idea that filming conditions were predatory, particularly regarding younger characters in intimate situations. She's clutching pearls over 24-year-old Isabella, filming simulated scenes as a teenage character. But Blake Lively played Serena van der Woodsen on Gossip Girl for 6 seasons. A high school student constantly in sexual situations, drug situations, manipulative relationships. Did she sue the CW? Did she claim hostile work environment when she was actually the age Isabella's character is supposed to be? No. She built a career on it. She knows exactly how this industry works. She knows the difference between a hostile environment and a drama set. But now that she needs a villain, she's rewriting the rules of filmmaking to make Justin Baldoni look like a predator. Isabella's lawyers say she needs protection from harassment. And she does. But the harassment isn't coming from the public knowing the truth. It's coming from being held hostage in a narrative she didn't ask for. Isabella didn't file an HR complaint. Isabella didn't sue anyone. Blake dragged her into this. Blake put those scene numbers in the complaint. Blake made Isabella's work the centerpiece of a federal lawsuit. And now Blake hides behind Isabella's sealing request, the move of someone who realizes the evidence doesn't match the press release. These filings aren't procedural updates. They're cracks in the dam. Blake Lively wanted to be the CEO, the owner, the victim, but according to her own filings, she's a minority shareholder in a shell company, relying on a witness who's terrified to speak, suing for money she isn't owed. Blake positioned herself as the victim. These filings suggest she might be the one people need protecting from. Funny how that works. Well, that's my interpretation of the situation, and just a reminder.
That's my opinion!